You've come back to watch another video with me. Good for you on your part, well done. Basically, last week I heard a WhatsApp and it's a guy, well, just listen to it, it's this.
My sister, her boyfriend's brother works for the Ministry of Defence. They're basically worried that people are going to get stuck indoors without any food. So one of the things that they're doing is they're actually working on making a massive lasagna. They're making a lasagna the size of Wembley Stadium. The underground heating at Wembley, that's going to like bake the lasagna, and then they're going to put the roof across, so it's like recreate an oven.
Now I can't use Wembley Stadium to make a lasagna, but it did make me think, I haven't had lasagna in ages and I bloody love it. Lasagna, the Bolognese sauce is one of the big things of lasagna. Some pork mince, some beef mince, mix them together in a lovely rich tomato sauce. I live with a vegetarian. I can't eat a whole lasagna on my own, that would be mental, I'd die. We're gonna substitute meat for some shrooms, and not the drug. Well, we're gonna make bolognese, we're gonna make a bechamel, we're gonna put it all together as a lasagna. I'm not making the pasta. Mental, absolutely mad. Let's get to it. So to get things started with your bolognese sauce, you'll need to finely dice 1 onion, 1 carrot, 1 stick of celery, 3 cloves of garlic, and half a chilli. Heat up a pan, pop a little oil in there just to get things lubricated, and add your diced onion followed by your carrot and celery. This is called a mirepoix. That's something Google taught me this week. Now we want to cook this down slowly. We don't want it to brown, we just want it to soften up. Hands up, I'm a seasoner. I season as I go. So we're going to hit it with some black pepper and some salt. After cooking the mirepoix down a bit, we're going to add some more flavour. We're going to go with the chopped garlic and some chilli, and we're going to give them a little bit of heat. Next up are shrooms. I've minced these mushrooms down quite a bit. I don't really want them to look like mushrooms. The finer you go, the more mincemeat-like texture you'll get. It seems like a lot of mushrooms, but by the time the heat hits them and all the water evaporates, they'll cook right down. Then for a little more flavour, I've gone with a sprinkle of oregano, but you could use any herb like thyme or rosemary or even sage. Next up is some tomato puree. Always add your tomato puree before any other liquid. You've got to cook the tomato puree out, or else it will taste all bitter and horrible. Now to bring up any of the fond, we're using a glass of red wine. I've gone for a glass of the Chianti here. No fava beans in sight. And we're going to add some passata to this. Now normally I would add a tin of chopped tomatoes, but when I was shopping for this video there weren't any chopped tomatoes on the shelves at all, so passata it is. Oh, okay, I've put it all in. Great, now there's too much liquid. Still, let's get a lid on it, a makeshift lid, and we'll cook this out on a simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes. So we've made the sauce, the bolognese sauce, a little bit too much passata, not gonna lie. And the next thing we're gonna do is a bechamel. It's very easy. Butter, melt your butter down, flour in, which you're gonna see in a second, so I don't know why I'm explaining it. Add milk slowly, don't add it all at once, absolute nightmare. Don't go overkill on it, okay? Once it starts to thicken, you can take it off the heat, and if it needs to continue thickening, then great, but you're gonna end up with a gloopy mess, and it's gonna be an absolute nightmare. Let's make bechamel. You want to go with 100 grams of butter into a pan on a medium-high heat. Let that melt down for a minute, and then add 100 grams of plain flour. Mix these together, and this causes a roux. A lot of French words today. Maybe I should start doing the rest of the video with it. No, I'm not doing that. That's mental. Now, let your flour cook out a bit. If not, it'll have a tendency to taste, well, floury. God, I'm bad at these. Slowly add some milk. Start whisking a little in at a time until eventually you end up with a silky smooth white sauce. I think my hob was too hot from cooking the bolognese. Something went mad. Anyway, let's listen in on me having a small breakdown as I try and make a bechamel sauce. And that's turned into like breadcrumbs. That's not what that's meant to do. So a little bit more. It's just absorbing it every time. Now that's got very thick, very quick. Let's go with a decent whack of milk. Still quite thick and bready. Okay, a little bit of that sauce on the floor there. I don't want to stand in that. I don't want to stand in it. So I'm going to add the rest of this milk. Okay. Season your bechamel well. I've gone with a little bit of salt and some black pepper, and always some nutmeg. This is a nutmeg. Let's use one that's already had a bit of grating done to it. That's in there. That's just in there. Great.
Yeah, so try your best not to throw the nutmeg into the sauce. Finally, add a little parmesan and get the cheesiness kicked off. As you can see, the bolognese sauce is starting to reduce down now, which is what we're after. Cook off any excess water and you're left behind with a lovely, rich tomatoey sauce. We're going to partially blanch some sheets of pasta. It makes it much easier to work with when you're trying to build the layers of your lasagna. Make sure you always salt your water. It's the best way to season pasta, and we're talking like seawater levels of salt here. Then, a few at a time, drop the sheets into the boiling water and keep them moving so they don't stick together. Keep doing this in small batches and then transfer them to a bowl of cold water to stop them cooking.
Cool, so we've got all our elements together now. Tomatoey mushroom bolognese here, our bechamel sauce, and we've got our lasagna sheets. I've sort of boiled partly, it's just sort of made them slimy. So now we're gonna put the lasagna together, then get it in the oven and we'll be away.
It's all about those layers. We're starting with a bit of oil in the bottom of the dish, lubricate it up. You'll thank me later. First layer is some bolognese, then some of our bechamel, and then we put our first layer of pasta. Use a pair of scissors to help trim them up to the right size. Then we continue on in this fashion. Bolognese, bechamel, pasta. Bolognese, bechamel, pasta. Until you get to the top. Then we're going to finish it off with one last layer of bechamel.
I think there's too much water in there from the lasagna sheets. I think it's a bad idea doing them in the water.
And then a good grating of cheese. I've got some cheddar and some of that parmesan again. Now, contrary to belief, I don't think that you need a great deal of cheese. If you put too much on there, all the fats are going to separate and all the oils will pool on the top. It's going to be a nightmare. Anyway, get that in the oven for about 30 minutes at 180, gas mark 6. You'll end up with something that looks a touch like this.
So that's it. That's the mushroom lasagna right there. It's not the size of Wembley Stadium, but it's going to be a corker. I mean, I've had some mishaps. I've dropped the nutmeg in the sauce, sure. I put too much passata in. The nightmare of this is I want to eat this now, but leave it, okay? Leave it an hour, let it start to cool down. If you try and take that out now, it's just going to slop about. It's going to be a horrible big mess. Just give it a bit of time and it will solidify up slightly. And then when you cut those slices, it's going to look like this. So thanks for joining me again, and I'm gonna be back. I'm hoping that you're enjoying these videos. It gives me something to do, which is absolutely fantastic. Like, subscribe, is it up here or something? Like and subscribe, share it, please share it, because that's the only way that I'm gonna get views. Also, just keep making lovely food for yourself in this time of absolute nightmarish proportions.